Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing great. So today we'll be having Zeeshan Hafeez with us, who is the Chief Revenue Officer at AspireHR and who has also having experience working with two of the big five tech organizations that are Microsoft and Google. So without a further ado, let's welcome Zeeshan. Hello Zeeshan, I hope you are doing great. Yeah, it's really nice to have you here.
Awesome. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, great. So first of all, I would basically like you to introduce yourself and also tell us a bit like what are you currently working at and like and also where are you based at?
Sure. So I said a little bit about myself. I originally studied law at Georgetown University. I was originally an attorney by profession. I practiced for about 5 years in a variety of different roles. I worked internationally at the World Trade Organization in Geneva, Switzerland. I worked in-house at a healthcare firm in Florida, in the U.S. And then I also worked at a startup. At that startup, actually, I was for the first time exposed to sales and marketing, as I took a role that was a hybrid between legal and sales and marketing as well. And it was that role that helped me realize that my true passion was in sales and marketing and not in law, even though I had went and got my law degree and practiced law for a few years. And that's where I decided to make a career switch, a little bit of a pivot, if you may. And in that scenario, I decided to go back and get my MBA. I went to the University of Virginia Darden School of Business. While I was in business school, I did a marketing internship. And after business school at DuPont, and after business school, I went and started working in sales. I went directly into tech sales. I went to big tech over at Microsoft, joined in 2015, where I sort of joined at the very beginning of the cloud revolution. So came in early, was selling to some really big companies and big clients, companies like AT&T, 7-Eleven, Brinks, Southwest Airlines. I was very fortunate to be the Azure rep for them because Azure was new and we were not a big team at the time either to cover such large enterprise customers. Eventually, I was helping to build out the digital sales organization that was for SMC, which is small, medium, and corporate businesses for Microsoft, and that was based here in Dallas, Texas as well. And then eventually I was poached over to Google and left Microsoft to go over to Google. Came in as a sales leader for the New England region based out of Austin. Eventually took over the Northeast, then Northeastern Canada. And then I became a field sales leader based out of Dallas to cover the South Central region. And in that role, my teams were reporting to me selling Google Cloud. From there, I went over to VeeOne Health, where I became Chief Revenue Officer. That was a little bit over 2.5 years ago. There, I basically built out a revenue organization from scratch. So it was mostly founder-led sales previously, but we built out a sales team, marketing team, business development, customer success, account management, channels, partnerships, alliances, all of that. So built out a team for the team to build the company and help grow the revenue there. And then most recently, about a month ago or so, I joined AspireHR, which is an HCM company, which basically is in the human capital management space. We do human capital management technology, as well as implementations, managed services, support for anything along the lines of HCM, specifically around SAP SuccessFactors. And I'm the Chief Revenue Officer here, and we'll be helping to grow our current existing team as well and taking our revenue organization to the next level. So that's basically my background in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's like great to know. And also like as you have mentioned that you have worked for Google and Microsoft, and that like we all know that like these organizations are considered to be among the like big five tech companies. So if you can like briefly explain about like the work culture there and also your past experience like working with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that these two companies have some of the greatest cultures from a workspace perspective in the world for any company. And it's very, it's very, purposely built. They purposely have built the cultures to be a differentiating factor for them. It's part of the differentiating value proposition. some people buy from Google because they love Googliness. They love the way Google is. They love the brand identity of culture. They love the people of Google. And that's why they work with Google. Microsoft has built such a professional sales and culture and winning sales organization. On top of that, they also have, this big tech status. It makes a big difference. Selling at Microsoft or at Google is way different than selling at a startup like VeeOne Health or selling at AspireHR. There's brand associated with it. People know the cultures. Not only that, but when you're part of a winning sales culture, it's getting the most out of every member of the team. It's an enjoyable work environment. It's collaborative. It's fun. It's exciting. And everyone is dialed in, is bringing the best to the table. And that's going to bring the most out of every team member as well. And that's why when you bring people to organizations like Google and Microsoft, and you're able to get different talent, that talent sometimes performs at the best of their levels of their entire career. And when you build a culture like that can get the most out of someone's potential, not only will people be happy and people will be successful, but as an organization, it will maximize your success. And that's why I'm such a strong believer in culture. And I tried to build a culture at VeeOne based off of the frameworks of what I saw was successful at Google and Microsoft, and made those places so great to work and got the most out of their employees. And that's also what I'm going to hopefully do to help improve and be a culture builder at AspireHR. Last thing I'll say about culture is you hear about people at Google literally are devoting their lives to the company. And the company takes care of them. Like if you visit a Google campus, you'll see the greatest restaurants you'll see at they're on level with some of the nicer restaurants that you find in any other city. The food and the snacks and the drinks and the yoga studios and the volleyball fields and the massage parlors and everything, they make it so that they can give the employees the best experience possible. And because of that, they get the most out of their employees as well. People want to stay. People want to go to the office. They want to have fun. Obviously, things have changed after COVID at all these companies with the work from home environment and new phases that have happened. But while I was there, I got to see that if you treat your employees well and you build a great culture, you're going to get the most out of the team as a whole.
Okay, yeah, that totally makes a lot of sense. And also being at the executive board level, that is you are basically serving CRO at AspireHR, and you have already served CRO at VeeOne Health. So what are the daily challenges that you face, whether be it in terms of hiring team members or managing the team? So what are basically the daily challenges there?
I think the biggest challenge that you have as a chief revenue officer now at Google and Microsoft, as a sales leader, you get a lot of guidance. There are a lot of targets that are set. There are a lot of tools that are chosen for you. Sales operations are run by a sales operations lead. You get a lot more support and guidance and guardrails on how to organize your business. At a startup, when you're in the C level, you are given a lot of responsibility with a lot of obligations. And, with this responsibility, you have certain expectations. And at the end of the day, the revenue targets, revenue numbers, the booked sales, they're all falling on me. So if anything related to revenue is not going well, it's on my plate. And it's my responsibility to make sure that it is being successful. So the day-to-day challenges really, I would say, are, making sure that everything that you're doing is driving towards your goal. And for me, that goal is maximizing our revenue, maximizing our margins, because it's not just about dollars coming in, but it's quality dollars coming in that have good margins for the business. And so what I have to do is balance that with, keeping the team engaged, keeping the team positive, excited, motivated to be successful. And, it's a balance between driving results and also finding a way to drive them from a positive perspective.
Okay, yeah, that's really great to know. And also as we are seeing Like these days, like AI is the hottest topic. So what are the like possible implications of AI in the HR processes, according to you?
So I'm glad you asked that question. For us, AI is a huge bet at AspireHR. We are right now working on building what is, I think, going to be some of the most innovative, high-tech, and game-changing software in the HCM space. And when I'm talking about in the HCM space, we're not obviously covering everything. We're talking about talent, recruiting, and onboarding. This new software that our CTO, who by the way comes from AWS, very sharp, very talented guy, Dave Fazio, super wicked smart dude. He has come up with a very unique solution that is completely based on maximizing all of the next generational AI capabilities to completely transform the HCM experience for our end customers. The software should be coming out at the end of the year, but you can imagine if you enabled the best capabilities of AI, how much easier and how much more powerful a recruiting process would be. Things like taking time away to summarize every resume that comes in, scoring resumes for you, taking out and parsing out key details from resumes and profiles. And when you have a job come available, you can actually proactively reach out to the applicant who applied for another role rather than sending a generic email that says just apply for other roles that might be available. So applicant tracking gets better, recruiting gets better. It takes time away from recruiters. Recruiters save so much more time because they don't have to do all these tasks that AI can do for them and make their jobs more efficient. The questions process, right now it's so convoluted. Like some companies I've seen, even big companies, run their recruitment process through Google Docs. And it's hard to track who has asked what question. And it's also hard to decide what the follow-up question should be when you're given a set of the questions that are given to you. Here, the AI will be listening to your conversation during the interview and will suggest new questions for you. I mean, the capabilities that we're talking about are going to be they're going to make a big difference and a big change in what's going to be out there. So, I mean, these are some really cool tools and features that I think are going to completely change the HR industry. So I'm very, very excited about it.
Okay, and how it will make like the work at like your work as a CRO, like basically like the sales work, like easy?
Well, for me, I'm going to be happy because I'll have something else to sell. Right now we're focusing very heavily on selling services, and that means consulting projects. That means selling specific managed services, support contracts. We do have some technology that's built on top of SAP SuccessFactors and some of the other solutions that we help build cloud benefits around. But here we'll have our own standalone product that we'll be able to sell to enterprises. And I think that will be really exciting for the sales team because they'll get something that's sort of best in class to sell from our organization.
Okay, yeah, that's great to know. And also like as we are seeing, like the youngsters are basically quite passionate and eager to join like big companies. And since you have already worked for two of those organizations like Microsoft and Google, so if there is any advice or suggestion that you want to give to the youngsters who want to join?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the first things that I think people need to realize is that these are very tough companies to get into. And so if you don't get accepted into them, don't feel demoralized. That doesn't, because you don't get accepted into a role, it doesn't mean anything about you. It's not a reflection on you as an individual or even your potential. I tell everyone that I speak to, and I get a lot of folks reach out to me to help them build their careers. I've actually been involved with helping to develop a new platform. It's called careernetwork.co, and it's specifically for people in the tech industry. They're trying to break in, they're trying to advance their careers, they're trying to build their careers. And I encourage you and your watchers and listeners to check out careernetwork.co. We're right now in private alpha, so if anyone wants an invitation, just tell me that you watch this cast, and I'll make sure I get an invitation for you. But I recommend that people get the experience that they need, working at whatever company that they can. And I think once you start to build the experiences, it doesn't always have to be from a brand name. Think about when you take a job, especially early on in your career. I don't encourage people early on in your career to take the job that gives you the most money. I don't even encourage you to take the job that necessarily has the best benefits or the best location. Take the job where you're going to learn the most. Take the job that's going to give you the skills that are going to make you the best. Think about your long-term career and where you're going to get started. Take a job that will be a good brand to have on your resume. You might not be at a big tech company, but you'll have a logo that people will recognize. So I encourage people to think very thoughtfully about their career, what their goals are, and how they're going to get there. And not to get demoralized when there are failures or issues on the road, but to appreciate the journey and stay dedicated to the journey and really focus in on coming up with a plan, coming up with goals, and coming up with a game plan on how to get there. And how you get there is not only through your hard work and efforts, but it's through finding mentors and sponsors that will help you along your journey. Find someone that you look up to on LinkedIn. Find someone you look up to at your company or at another company, or a friend of a friend, or someone that you see here, or you see their career and you're inspired by them and you want to be like them in 20 years. Reach out to that person. Tell them that. Find the person that's going to help you grow and expand and develop. And there's a lot of people out there, you'll be surprised, that will very rarely say no to people. You find someone that has a connection to you, someone who went to your college, someone who went to your same university, someone from the same town that you're in, from whatever part of the world that you're in, the same country that you're from. Find something that you can connect with someone on, and then utilize that as a way to get an introduction. And then that is your chance to, really propel and accelerate your career growth. The last thing I'll say is keep an open mind. There's a lot of different opportunities out there. Some people say it's all about big data, and then they'll just focus in on just learning everything you can about that. There's nothing wrong with that. But maybe the job that you get isn't in big data. Maybe it's in AI right now, or maybe it's in traditional coding, or it's one language that you don't know necessarily. That's where the opportunity is. Go learn the language. I think right now, the biggest thing that youngsters can do is to learn as much as they can about one thing, become experts in one thing, or the other option is to become, fairly well educated on a number of different things. So they have multiple skills that they can get into. And then once they get a job that focuses in on one area, they can go deeper on that area. So 2 options there: get really strong in one area, or get super strong on a number of areas that will allow you to be dangerous and hopefully help you get a role that will guide you on your career path and journey in the direction that you want to go.
These are some of the great suggestions and lovely advice that you have given. Thanks a lot for that. And also thank you so much for giving your valuable time and come to this podcast. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
Yeah. So if there is anything else that you want to cover or add on, you can definitely do that.
Oh no, I think we covered a lot of different topics. I encourage your listeners and the people that are viewing your podcast on video. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Would love to connect and see how I can advise you on your career, or if you want to talk about any of the topics that we discussed today in further detail, would happy to connect with you.
Great. I will definitely be sharing your LinkedIn profile in the description, and I'll be uploading the video. Okay.
Sounds good. All right.
It's really nice catching up with you. See you soon. Okay, bye.
Take care.
So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video and get to know about Zeeshan and his expertise in sales sector, and also his work as a Chief Revenue Officer. So I'll be sharing his LinkedIn profile in the description down below, so you guys can connect with him, and also feel free to ask him any questions, and also any favors, as he's really a helpful guy, and it's really nice of him to catch up with me on this podcast. I really appreciate that. So thanks for watching. See you soon in the next video.